As I was eating my bananas for breakfast this morning, I thought about something. What is it about fruit, that makes it so great? Why can't I just eat oatmeal for breakfast or just wheat bread with peanut butter jelly, sandwiches, cheese, rice, all the different foods that a lot of people eat around the world. Why is it that it's better for us to eat fruit? And I was also thinking about how elite athletes around the world, they're eating, most of them, a starch-based diet, a diet based around rice, corn, potatoes, and fruit, and maybe some animal products. But wouldn't it be better if they ate fruit instead? Would they perform better? And the answer, I think, is yes. But of course, for an elite athlete, training is always going to be the main factor in why they perform so well. But still, what is it about fruit? Why am I eating fruit for breakfast rather than bread? Well, the first reason why I'm eating fruit for breakfast is because it tastes really good. I mean, fruit is just naturally appealing to us. Other foods, they're not really naturally appealing. They need to be, we add sugar to our oatmeal, we add some kind of milk to it, we cook up our vegetables and grains, etc., with various sauces and condiments. They're not really appealing by themselves. Fruit, though, so delicious. I love fruit, and so when I wake up in the morning and I'm hungry, I just want fruit. Same for lunch, and same for dinner if I have good fruit available anyway. So for me, the first reason is really just that. I really love the taste of fruit. The other reason, I guess, for me is just that I've seen by experience how it affects me. My digestion is better with fruit. I feel better with fruit. I have more energy. It drains my energy less when it digests. It just overall gives me better health. That's my experience. And so I don't really care, although I do care, but even if I didn't care about all the science and all the reasons why fruit is so good, I would still eat fruit because it just simply feels the best and tastes the best. I mean, nothing beats a meal of delicious mangoes. I mean, no food on the planet tastes better than ripe fruit. Mangoes, durian, jackfruit, cempedak, cherimoyas. Oh my god, so good. So good. So that's my main reasons. But let's talk about it. What is it again? What is it about fruit, though, that makes it so special? And the truth is that it's not so special. You can survive on a lot of different foods. You can eat almost anything. We're very adaptable in that sense, humans. Our digestive system can sort of deal with a lot of different foods, and we'll get by. We'll be all right. What is it, though, that makes fruit that much better? Well, first of all, when we're thinking about food and eating, food should really meet, there are two criteria to food. First of all, it needs to meet our needs, right? We need to be getting our nutrients and fuel, etc., from that food. And secondly, we want to avoid things that might harm us, so negative elements in the food. So if we look at all the foods on the planet, fruit comes out the best in terms of meeting our needs and being clean, in the sense that there are no added problems coming with the fruit, because that's really what really separates fruit from other foods. When you look at something like, why can't we eat meat? Well, we can eat meat. We can survive on meat for some time until the problems associated with such a diet accumulates, because that's what it does. Health problems are not like that necessarily, although digestive issues can be like that. But most of our health problems, like heart disease, cancer, and that sort of thing, they're accumulative in the sense that it takes decades of eating that way until the problems accumulate to such a degree that you feel overtly ill, But the problems are even there from one single meal. You can notice how something you eat affects you in the sense that, why can't we eat meat? Well, we can, as I said, but meat tends to fall short on a lot of different nutrients needed for human health. Sure, they're high in some nutrients, And that might be a problem even. Meat tends to be too high in iron, for example. It's easy to get too much iron actually if you eat a lot of meat. It's also lacking in other nutrients. Very low in, no fiber in meat. Very low in the vitamins. So it sort of fails to meet our nutritional needs ideally. And on the other hand, it also contains a lot of baggage, things like cholesterol, saturated fat, and certain hormones, you know, from the animal, things that we shouldn't really be getting. There's a lot of negative baggage coming along with those nutrients we're getting from the meat. So a better way to get your nutrients would be from a food that was more balanced in terms of meeting our needs and less toxic, if you will, to our system. Well, let's move over to oatmeal then. What about oatmeal? Well, again, much better than meat. Oatmeal tends to have, as an example, oatmeal tends to have a more balanced profile in terms of the nutrients in it, meeting our needs more easily, and it has much less problems associated with it. You know, it doesn't have all that cholesterol, it doesn't have all that fat. It's high in fiber, high in minerals, high in vitamins. It's pretty good, but then again, not perfectly good. If we look at oatmeal compared to fruit, well, you know, the oatmeal is starchy, which means that your body has to digest it in order to get those calories from the sugar. You know, has to digest the starch down to break it down to sugar. Whereas with fruit, it's already sugar. Okay, so you're saving yourself by eating fruit instead of oatmeal. You're saving yourself some digestive effort. So that's good about fruit. In terms of nutrients, grains generally tend to fall short on some of the vitamins, you know, vitamin C, and sort of, if we were to live on oatmeal, we would probably be okay, but it wouldn't be ideal. Over the long term, we would probably miss out on a lot of nutrients that are essential for our health, that are present in fruit though. On the other hand, what about negative elements? Well, negative elements about grains and oatmeal in this example is that there are certain things coming along with the nutrients in the foods. For example, phytates. Phytic acid is something that's a lot of in grains and legumes. And phytic acid interferes with our uptake of certain minerals like iron, calcium, zinc. So if we're eating a lot of oatmeal, sure, there might be a decent amount of iron in there, decent amount of calcium in there, but a lot of it is bound up because of this phytic acid. So we end up actually getting less nutrition out of the food because of these anti-nutrients. Whereas in the fruit, if you look at the fruit, all the nutrients are there, but there are very little anti-nutrients. So you're getting more out of it without the excess baggage. Again, there are also things like lectins, saponins, tannins, things in foods in general, including fruit. Some fruits are less optimal than other fruits. Anti-nutrients that basically are toxic to the human system somewhat, mildly toxic. And you can get by eating these foods, no big deal, but over time things accumulate, and there's also the thing about how does it, you know, serve you in terms of your performance as a human being, physiologically speaking, here and now, today, tomorrow. And on all counts, it just boils down to being like this. Fruit supplies you with all the nutrients you need for the least amount of digestive effort and with the least amount of added toxic baggage or anti-nutrients. That's it, really. That's it. That's what the fruit's all about. And this includes water, by the way. Water is a nutrient that we need, and there's a lot of water in fruit, which is a good thing. A lot of other foods are quite dry, and they sort of rob us of water rather than supply us with water. So again, fruit just has all the nutrients, including water. It just supplies us with what we need for a very low cost. You're gonna want to go ahead and eat oatmeal for breakfast instead of bananas? No big deal. You can do that, and you'll be healthier if you just eat like a vegan, low-fat, high-carb, whole-food, plant-based diet. You'll be healthier than like 99% of the population, okay? But if you want to take that extra step, fruit is even better yet. There's no reason why you should eat oatmeal if you can eat fruit, you know what I mean? Eating that oatmeal, eating that rice, eating those potatoes even, has certain negative aspects to it coming along with those nutrients. There's certain negative baggage coming along with it, and there's certain lacks in terms of how it provides for our nutritional needs. Again, if you move into the animal products, if you move into the heavily processed foods, that sort of thing, it's even worse, of course. And there's a spectrum, a continuum always, where you have optimal in one end and really poor in the other end. And then if you, as long as you hover in the sort of upper end of that range, you'll be fine, of course. But there's no coming away from the fact that nothing but fruit is optimal. And not just fruit. I mean, you could, things like berries and avocados, they're fruits, but they're not necessarily optimal overall in terms of meeting our nutritional needs. If we want to be really specific, my opinion would be to say that we're talking about tropical fruits, cherimoyas, mangoes, jackfruit, cempedak, bananas, papayas. These fruits just tend to be better for us as a human. They sort of meet our nutritional needs better, and they have less problems associated with, things like nightshades, like tomatoes and peppers. They have more of these lectins in them, and some people are more sensitive to these toxins, and that's just the way it is. So let's just wrap it up. What's special about fruit? Nothing really super special. It's just like everything else. It just has much less of the toxic stuff, much better nutrient profile, and it just simply meets our nutritional needs better. And this is no coincidence. This is because we evolved over millions of years as frugivores in a symbiotic relationship with a lot of these fruits or families of fruits, or the whole idea of fruit in general sort of evolved together with us primates, and they sort of evolved to fit our nutritional needs. That's just a natural way of it all. So I highly recommend that you make fruit your staple, and probably most of you guys watching this is already on that fruit-based diet. I highly recommend that if you have the option and if you have the fruit there and it's ripe and it's sweet and it's delicious and you want it, make it a meal. Make fruit the dominant part of your diet. If you wish to include some other foods, you can, again, it's just looking at that scale. As you move down into potatoes, roots and tubers, there's a certain sacrifice, but it's not really that huge. Sweet potatoes, for example, are fairly close to fruit in the sense of supplying our nutritional needs and being quite non-toxic. But as you move down into potatoes, down into other roots, it gets not as ideal. Moving into grains, legumes, much less ideal, but still, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, pretty good. And as you move down into animal products and then just processed foods, or heavily processed food, refined foods, you just tend to go further and further away from what is optimal. And so that choice is up to you. Nothing magical about fruit in the sense that it's solving all your problems. It's just that it's food. It's food, clean food. That's what it is, just clean food. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this little video. If you have any questions, you could always send me an email, probably. You can comment down below as well, but I don't necessarily have the time to answer to all comments. But if you send me an email, I usually get around to it. You can go to our website at sweetnaturalliving.com, where you can ask that question. You can download a free e-booklet on how to get started with the raw food diet. I have a book about bananas, how to make those your staple on a fruit-based diet. So a few resources there. Make sure to check that out and have an awesome day. Eat your fruit and be a satisfied human.